Welcome to Riverview Credit Union Mid-Ohio Valley Entrepreneurship Expo at Marietta College. I am Dr. Jacqueline Khorassani, the Director of Entrepreneurship Program. In case you're joining us for the first time, the overall theme of this year's conference is learning from challenges, how to adapt and become resilient business. Many thanks to our sponsors, our title sponsor, Riverview Credit Union, our in-kind platinum sponsor, Clutch MOVE, our gold sponsors, Schwendeman Agency and McDonough Foundation, our silver sponsors, Premier Bank and Tech Growth Ohio, bronze sponsors, Trademark Solutions and Tenney and Associates. I just mentioned that this year's movie is all about resiliency, and today's session gives us a chance to celebrate the resiliency and achievements of finalists of the 2020 Mid-Ohio Valley Entrepreneur of the Year Award. Today's program is brought to you in partnership with Clutch MOV, inspired by growing creative community in the Mid-Ohio Valley. Sarah Arnold launched Clutch MOV in 2014 as a community magazine for, by, and about residents of the Mid-Ohio Valley. Clutch MOV publishes stories and highlights local people, places, and events, telling underlying narrative that the Mid-Ohio Valley is a region on a rise. In today's session, Sarah Arnold will moderate a conversation with the finalists of the 2020 Mid-Ohio Valley Entrepreneur of the Year Award. And she is going to announce the winner at the end of today's session. This is going to be very informal and very interactive, and we are so happy that you're all here. Sarah, the virtual stage is all yours.
Thank you, Jackie. It's a pleasure to be here today to speak with you and to speak with and learn from our 6 finalists and 7 entrepreneurs making a meaningful impact here in the Mid-Ohio Valley. Clutch MOV is proud to once again sponsor the Mid-Ohio Valley Entrepreneur of the Year Award because we believe in a community where all of us feel empowered to take risks on the promise of success that makes this place a better place for all of us here in the Mid-Ohio Valley. We are inspired by the makers, the doers, the innovators, and the small business owners in this community, especially this year with all of us facing so many unique challenges. Each year, this award is presented following an open nomination period. This year, we received dozens of nominations for innovative, forward-thinking, community-building entrepreneurs right here in the Mid-Ohio Valley. A panel of local community leaders and business owners evaluated each nomination based on demonstrated innovation, perseverance, and community impact. While our team had a very difficult time narrowing down the list, we believed 6 finalists stood out for the impact they are making through their work. We're very excited to introduce each of them to you today. Let's start with Chris. Chris, would you like to introduce yourself and share what you love most about being an entrepreneur?
Good afternoon. First of all, I am humbled by this nomination and honored to share the stage with such creative and hardworking individuals. The Mid-Ohio Valley is lucky to have such dedicated members of our community. This area has been my home for almost all of my life. I've learned over many years just how important a community is to a small business owner. Rewind back to 1978 when Jim and Marilyn Pettit bought an old Sunoco gas station in the small town of Williamstown, West Virginia, and set into turning it into a pizza shop and later Italian restaurant. In 1980, they opened DaVinci's. They were ready to serve the town. 4 decades later, DaVinci's is now a mainstay in the local community. We seat 650 guests, employ 100 people. In 2002, Jim and Marilyn decided it was time to move on, and that's when I decided I had found a home and a second family at DaVinci's. My employees and I continue to serve the Mid-Ohio Valley night after night, week after week. As an owner, my job is truly never ending. Days off are just a thing of the past. I truly cannot imagine doing anything else, so that's just the way it is. What do I enjoy most about becoming an entrepreneur? Most people think that entrepreneurs entrepreneurs means you're rich. And while it may be true for some, I am not materialistically rich, but I am rich in a sense of fulfillment and support. My employees are not only my friends, but my family, long-term customers that have supported me for years, I have grown to love, and they are like family as well. I am rich with the ability to grow this passion, create new ways to improve, and make a legacy within the community. So I guess I am rich, it's just not in your normal sense. I would not be standing here today if it were not for my family, my friends, my employees, and my community. You have all supported me in every step of the way. You've been patient with me, you've been excited with me.
Thank you, Chris, and congratulations. Denise, would you like to introduce yourself and share what you most enjoy about being your own business owner?
I'm Denise Headlee from One Skincare Studio, and I want to say thank you to Marietta College and Clutch MOV for putting this on. I just think that it's really cool, and I'm honored and humbled to be a part of it. A little bit about me. My initial education was in nursing, and I was young and free and left my stable nursing job to move to California, and it was there that I really reconnected with my first passion, which is skincare. And I stayed out there for years. I had great experience, but then I missed the MOV and I decided to move home. When I came back here, I've worked in the MOV for many, many years. I had a great mentor and learned a lot, but in my career, I just felt like I had plateaued with my job. I just had reached my full potential and I became very, very restless. So it was at that point that I decided to just jump in and open up One Skincare Studio. Our mission is to provide quality skincare and education to women in a safe, peaceful place where they can come and feel valued and feel accepted. Flexibility and freedom, I think that that's great, but my favorite part is to be able to really create and cultivate an environment that resonates with my soul. And every day I get to do something that I love and something that inspires me. I love to give service to others. And one thing that I think is really cool about owning your own business is that it gives you a platform where you can, an opportunity to bring the community together for the greater good. I think that that's a really great feeling.
Thank you so much for sharing and congratulations. Larry, would you like to introduce yourself and share as well?
Thank you, Sarah. I greatly appreciate being here. Very brave of you guys to allow me to speak, because anybody that knows me knows I have a hard time stopping. If I run over time, just wave at me or something and I'll shut up from there. So I'm a lifelong resident of Washington County, went to Warren High School, went to Marietta College, got my bachelor's degree in marketing, went on to get my MBA in corporate finance from Franklin University. I really started in the restaurant industry while I was at Marietta College as a cook, as a kitchen manager, just absolutely fell in love with food. But once I graduated, I really felt that I was young in the restaurant industry, so I felt that I had to have a real job. So, I got into the career world and went into banking and then into higher education. After 15 years of the corporate world, just got tired of that. So, my wife and I got with our two boys, Gabe and Reed, and we decided to buy the Busy Bee. The Bee has been in business since 1944. My goal upon getting it was really to revamp it, really focus on helping build more of a community-based restaurant that is scratch, is farm to table, really take advantage of the agriculturally rich area that we live in. So I started reaching out to farmers and local suppliers, and we continue to do that on a regular basis, try to expand our network and what we have and what we can work with. For the restaurant, it's a love of food and a love of people, and really being able to connect those two and drive some business in the local economy and really try to give back and help everybody, as we go along. What I love about being an entrepreneur is in 15 years in the corporate world, somebody else was always in control of the goal line. Never mattered how well we did, how the numbers turned out, how much profit was made. There was already someone changing it, and the next year we had to do better, we had to do more. As an entrepreneur, you're in charge of all of that. It all finally lays on my shoulders, and it's about my capabilities and what I'm able to do. And yes, I have to have a team to succeed in that, and especially at our restaurant, we have a phenomenal team. But it still comes back to me being able to build that team. That's what I love about it. It truly allows me to shine in doing what I love. And, the food is a phenomenal aspect of that. The day-to-day grind, being in the kitchen and meeting with our customers. There's days that I spend 2 hours drinking coffee out front. That flexibility is something that you can't have anywhere else. And that's really what does it for me, and what I hope other people find passion and follow it to be an entrepreneur themselves.
Thank you so much. And congratulations to you as well. Marilyn and Amanda, would you like to introduce yourselves next?
I'm Amanda Fulton with Your Proper Pooch Dog Training and Grooming, which is located in Cairo, West Virginia. Your Proper Pooch is owned and operated by myself and my business partner, Marilyn Pence. Marilyn sends her apologies. She was not able to attend today as she's teaching classes. The first dog that I trained was a mobility support assistance dog for my youngest daughter, who has spina bifida and was not able to walk unsupported. I stayed and worked as a trainer with this program until I moved to West Virginia in 2010. Marilyn has worked with various rescues and humane societies in several different states. We've been friends for years, and in 2018 we decided to combine our skills and experiences to open Your Proper Pooch Dog Training. We offer primarily private classes where we teach everything from basic obedience to therapy or service dog training. We are also American Kennel Club approved evaluators, so we teach and test for all levels of Canine Good Citizen and Trick Dog titles. We've worked with the Ritchie County Humane Society, evaluating their dogs and checking their temperament to see where they may be best able to start new lives. We opened the grooming side of our business at the beginning of 2020. We were only open a few months before we had to shut down, but we're open again, and we offer everything from a simple toenail trim to baths, blow dries, haircuts, and de-sheds. We really enjoy being able to serve the Mid-Ohio Valley's dog training and grooming needs. What I like the most about being an entrepreneur is really the flexibility that allows us to work with our clients in a manner that is most helpful for them. We're able to adjust our schedules to meet our clients' needs and specific training challenges. We've been able to add different class times and even classes on different days if it was something that our clients really needed to have us work with them about. Because of this, we've been able to really see the impact that we can have on people's lives with our training program.
Thank you so much. Congratulations to both of you. Anthony, would you like to introduce yourself next and share what you love most about being an entrepreneur?
I'm Anthony. I'm the owner of Anthony's Express Detail Service. If my wife heard me say that, she'd probably cringe a little bit, because actually she runs the business. Or I started this business way back in 2002. I wanted to go back briefly and let you know that I attended Potomac State College, which is a 2-year school in Kaiser, West Virginia, and then went to West Liberty State College. And that's how old I am. They don't even call it West Liberty State anymore. It's called West Liberty University. But I moved to the Mid-Ohio Valley back in 1990, and I just love this area right away. Mainly, I love the people in this area. I would say that when I started my business, that I had a concept that they weren't doing around here anywhere else that I knew of, and that was taking a service to customers of detailing their cars. As a matter of fact, today, when I tell people what we do, they're like, man, I never knew anything like that existed. But as I shared before, I had a friend of mine way back when tell me about what he went through to actually get his car detailed. I just thought there was a better way, and I set out to go ahead and do that. What I enjoy most about being an entrepreneur was actually an epiphany that I had, thank God, my second year in business. I got in business to make money. That did not go too well. That was my focus, to make money. I think everybody that's in business, that is their focus as well. What I didn't realize was that that was the wrong way to go about it. The number one thing that I learned, the epiphany that I had, is you have to have a laser beam focus on taking care of your customer, and then you make the money. I had the cart before the horse. You have to focus like a laser beam on that customer. In today's business environment, there's a lot of competition. People have the opportunity to go wherever they want. I also like the other business owners in this area, and I also want to take this time to thank the other finalists for what you do day in and day out. If you're anything like me, you never thought you'd be recognized or anything like this. We just put our heads down and we go to work every day and just do what we do each and every day. family, but you never think you're going to be nominated or even a finalist for anything like this. So I wanted to thank you guys for putting in the time. I wanted to thank Sarah, Jacqueline, and Jennifer for putting this whole thing together.
Well, thank you so much, and congratulations on being finalist. And last, and certainly not least, Jennifer, would you like to introduce yourself and share what you enjoy the most about being an entrepreneur?
Well, thank you, Miss Sarah and Clutch MOVE. And I echo what so many of the rest of you said about this being incredibly humbling and just super kind. Anthony said you don't expect to be nominated, but it certainly does something to your heart when somebody else notices. We all want to be able to show up and feel like we're making a difference in the world when we show up. So for me, this was super touching in the sense that someone would even notice and care. So thank you for that on the front end. I have a degree in education. I am the owner of the Bodega coffee shop. Certainly not what I intended to do or saw myself doing at all, but shortly after I graduated from college, I spent about 8 years in a little country called Honduras and went to help run an orphanage and do some work there. While I was there, fell deeply in love with the country and its people, and especially a family of 5 little guys who had to be surrendered by their parents because they were unable to be fed due to economic conditions, and just a very long story with their family. But their dad was a coffee farmer. So the beginning of the story was an inability to be able to make enough money to feed their family, which led to substance abuse and just a spiral of a whole lot of things, and the family being unable to be kept together because of it. And so there was this little dream that sort of was planted in my head and my heart when I was living there. I remember thinking when standing on the mountain looking at their family as they were having to say goodbye to each other one day, if I ever have to move home, I think I would try to do something about the fact that this family can't stay together because they're making $1 a day to cut a whole field of coffee and we're drinking a cup of coffee at $4 a pop. And there's got to be a better way to bridge the gap. And so that started a whole passion for fair trade and for ethically sourced products and that sort of thing. And I opened the Bodega both with a dream to help the farmers in places all over the world who are just like those, trying to raise families and do the best for their kiddos and their people too, but also for the people who are drinking it out of the cup. It's amazing to me the power to leverage one little coffee bean and the difference it can make for a whole lot of people along that chain. And so the Bodega has become deeply ingrained in my heart. I think about the little guys and their family. As Anthony said, you got to be crystal clear on your why and who you're showing up to serve. And there's still some part of me that's got those little guys on my back that's showing up every day, kind of to say their tenacity and their perseverance taught me so much. And so I'm showing up for them, but I'm also showing up to serve a whole lot of people that I now get to love and serve here across the table with a cup of coffee. And we're loving that. Our slogan is drink good coffee, do good work. And drink good coffee means we source it well. We find people who are doing that well and paying people fair wages to do it. And just the gift that it is when you get to be an entrepreneur to kind of invite people in. I'm a firm believer in the fact that people want to do good work. Sometimes they just want you to invite them into whatever it is that's happening. And if one of us does good work and we drop a stone, it's a little ripple. But if a community of people, a tribe of people that sort of surround your business and what you're doing start dropping stones all together, then man, we're giving big ripples off. And so that's my prayer. That's my hope. It's what keeps me showing up in the morning and still wanting to serve the folks we get to serve. So thank you for allowing me to be here and be a part.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, and congratulations to you as well. I want to thank all of you for sharing your stories with Clutch MOVE as a publication. We are so privileged to be able to share your stories and to just learn more about your journey. And I hope that throughout our time together here this afternoon, that all of those who are watching will also be able to enjoy learning more about you. I know I teared up more than once reading your stories, and I feel so privileged to even just know you just a little bit more through this. So thank you all very much. And we're just going to talk a little bit about what you've learned as an entrepreneur and what advice you would give. We'll start with the first question, and we can just go in the same order that we did our introductions. Chris, what lessons have you learned as an entrepreneur, especially from the challenges of 2020? This has been a particularly trying year with the pandemic and its impacts with everything going on. We just, this is an opportunity for all of us to learn from each other and to figure out what we can do next.
I'm going to say be proactive. Don't be reactive. Be on your toes. Be ready. Don't make your decisions based on fear, but rather decisions based on confidence. Write right when this started, we had a little bit of social media presence. It wasn't a daily thing, but right before this, I mean, I'm going to say March 17th was about the beginning. On March 1, I had hired someone to help me with PR and marketing. I feel like I had to jump on everything because we had a plan in play, which the plan didn't go as planned. So you just have to be on your toes and ready to work. We switched gears right away because this is what's going to happen. This is what we need to do. At that time, when everything shut down, everyone had a phone in their hand, whether it was out of fear, whether it was out of boredom, nothing else to do. Everyone had a phone in their hand. And we did a silly twist on the Mona Lisa. We called her Corona Mona. We kept the antics going. And every time I would say, well, we're going to let her go away. We're not going to kill her, but we're going to dissolve her. Everyone's like, no, we want to see what she's going to do next. Like most recently, she was out to the pumpkin farm, taking pictures with her family and that kind of thing. That's what I'm saying. Just be proactive. Don't be reactive to what happens. I happen to have 3 catering vehicles that I could hit the road with. And that's what I had to do. I hit the road right away and we had not delivered. I mean, we did years ago. We set out delivering. We had to have a big takeout business. I had to survive. I had a lot of people who depended on me. I depended on them. They depended on me. So we had to make it work. And we as a team made it work. We had to come up with new inventive ideas. And you just have to be ahead of the ballgame, whether it be creative thinking or changing around your model, which we did a couple of times. During all of this, people started eating comfort food. Then after so much comfort food, you can only eat so much pasta. You can only eat so much mashed potatoes. Well, now we need something to trim it all off. So I had to keep ahead of that ball game and think, okay, what are they going to want? What do they need? Oh, they need dessert for 4 or dessert for 5, for 6, because we were sitting down as a family. Yes, we always would like to sit down as a family, but now 7 nights a week, everyone's sitting down as a family and eating, which we weren't used to. So I would send home, I come up with a couple different ideas. We did a town to town where we took our catering vehicles out to satellite areas and we kind of set up drive-throughs right there. It was a prepaid, pre-ordered thing. We went to a bunch of different towns, different nights of the week. Not only were we just delivering to the homes, we were delivering these town to towns. We did Mona boxes, which were a box of comfort food that came complete with everything from appetizer, salad, dessert, instructions how to make it. We handed you this box and you went home and made dinner for your family within, minutes, which was nice.
Amen. Thank you. I know I was one of the ones who ate a lot of comfort food early on. Denise, what lessons have you learned as an entrepreneur this year, especially facing the challenges of COVID?
Well, I think just like most people that have been talking, we've had to learn to adapt and to be resourceful. That's kind of been at the forefront, and to rethink creative ways to bring our services to others. But beyond that, I knew that community was important, but I feel like this really reiterated how important community is, because I just found it really refreshing that the community just kind of rallied around each other and small businesses to lift us up when we needed it most. I mean, for myself, like for one, I had clients messaging me and calling me and saying, what can we do? How can we help you? Buying services that they would use later in the future, not knowing when, just doing everything to help support me. I love that. I just felt like in a time where so many of us were struggling, to see that my business had value, how much value that it had, it really just reconfirmed why I do what I do. That's been a special thing.
Thank you. I know we've seen so many examples of that throughout the past few months, and it's really nice to hear you share that, and the gratitude to our community for rallying around us small businesses. As one myself, I appreciate that too. Larry, would you like to talk about what you've learned so far from the challenges of 2020?
Sure. A lot of what Chris said obviously rings true for us being in the restaurant business as well. The amount of change and how quickly it came was pretty staggering. Fortunately, I've always been a forward-thinking business owner. We were always looking for the next thing, how to expand the restaurant. So from day one, we've already been doing things. When it came through, we had to adapt right away. We started doing grocery packages, our fresh baked bread, a dozen eggs, a half gallon of milk, sausage from Hickory Hill and things of those natures, trying to continue to support our farmers and suppliers the best way that we could. We started doing that on delivery. Delivery is not something that we've done much of in the past. We don't really have the staffing to make it happen, so we've stayed away from it. But we did start doing it when the dining room was closed and really focused on that. We did a big push for gift cards. That was very successful in bringing in much needed revenue to keep us open. I'm forever the optimist. So we went all in. While we were closed, we got it and redid the dining room. We added outdoor patio with new seating. We completely gutted and redid our kitchen, and we're ready now for any more changes that come down the line. But as Chris said earlier, you have to look at the positive. You have to be optimistic. You have to be willing to take the chance. We went all in Harmer Village. We're there for the long haul, and I'm excited at what the future is going to bring. I mean, we're hesitant. We don't know what 2020 is going to finish up like, but we're in it to move forward, and hopefully the changes that we've made and the way that we've adapted are going to continue to allow us to be successful long term.
Thank you. I do want to take a moment to just acknowledge that both you and Chris were very involved in Mid-Ohio Valley Restaurant Week. Took place only a few weeks before everything shut down. And so I know there was all of that chaos that was involved in that, and then the chaos of COVID. So I know that did require a lot of adapting very quickly. Amanda, would you like to share as well what you've learned from this year in particular?
Like mentioned before, we've learned that you really need to be able to adapt and kind of think outside the box. When we had to shut down due to the pandemic, we had students currently taking classes, and we had other students that were signed up for future classes. What we did was we took our own dogs and we designed a series of videos so we could continue to teach classes on a virtual platform. We had groups on Facebook for each set of classes, and we were able to have students send videos in so we could keep track of their progress and answer any questions that anybody had. That let us stay open and continue serving our clients' needs and, not putting everybody months behind in training. It worked really well for us, and, we had a lot of appreciative clients throughout the country as well.
Oh, that's really awesome that you were able to do that and host those virtual trainings. Now, we've seen a lot of people go to virtual to respond. Thank you. Anthony, would you like to share some of the lessons that you've learned this year from the challenges of the craziness that is COVID-19?
Sure, tons of them. Right from the beginning, the lifeblood of our business is actually monthly customers, professionals who get their vehicles done every 30 days. Right from the beginning, we lost 55% of our monthly business, just gone. People, myself included, were fearful of what was going on. It made us change the way that we think about doing vehicles. It also made me change my marketing. I was very lax in my marketing, but once COVID hit, I started to educate myself even more about what it is that we do and focus intently on our operational procedures. What I also learned is that we have 4 employees, and sometimes when you have employees that are good at their jobs, I know one of my fears is I'm always afraid to lose them, but these guys were tremendous. Sometimes you think that being at the top and running everything, that you have to come up with all the ideas. That is not true. These guys stepped up like you would not believe. When we go to a home or office, we actually will go up to that person's office, get their keys, come back down, and start to work. We initiated something where the customer simply left the keys with a receptionist, or they left the keys in the car when we went to the home. They left their checks. They would pay by credit card. In other words, we moved to a contactless car detailing company. Through this whole thing for about 4 or 5 months, there were customers that we were doing on a monthly basis that we never saw. Their cars were there, they were open, or they left their keys somewhere, and it was a couple of my workers that came up with that. Also, and what I mean about our marketing, I found out interesting things about inside of vehicles. The average steering wheel has 700 times more bacteria on it than a public toilet seat. I was like, whoa, I used that in the marketing. And in that climate of COVID, with germs and things, our commercials, we focus really hard about letting people know about what we do on the inside of the vehicle. We weren't doing that before COVID. We were just saying we do an interior detail, and there are tons and tons of things that I learned through this COVID experience. I would say what I learned the most, though, was the people that work for me are really, really good. have some really inventive ideas. And that also I learned that I've got to be better on my game as far as marketing.
Thank you. Those are some great lessons to learn. And I know the contactless model is much appreciated from so many people in the community who are vulnerable and are elderly and those with existing conditions who really appreciate services like that you all have been able to provide. Jennifer, I know you've learned a lot of lessons as well. We've talked about this before. If you'd like to share some of the things that you've learned this season.
I think one of the things obviously that we all learned was how we were going to look at the folks that we're trying to serve and adapt accordingly. We celebrated our first birthday of being open on the very day that we had to close for COVID. That was super scary because, you know, when you've got a little history behind your belt, you've got some folks who've been with you for a long time, you've had some time to build and develop, and, you know, the fear that goes through your head is we've got a year into this thing and are we going to be able to survive being closed and how long is this going to last and all of that. And I think I learned very quickly that I got a decision. I had to make a choice whether I was going to be discouraged and disappointed about the fact that this was the way it was looking like it was going to go, or whether I was going to lift my head up and figure if I was disappointed and discouraged, the folks that we were serving were as well, and how could we still continue to show up. And so I also had an incredible team. We have a small staff, but I had a baker who showed up and baked at all hours of the day and night lots of times, and we started doing Saturday specials where we'd set a white table out in front of the bodega, and we started doing online ordering, and we had not done that either. And so we would put pastries out and we would do different things every Saturday, and we put names on them. We try to decorate them up and put little notes of hope and encouragement. We wave to them through the windows and tell them that we missed them. And it was amazing how much that meant to us, but also the feedback that we got from them, just to see people and for it to seem like some semblance of normal, even if they weren't able to come in. We don't have a drive-through. We built the bodega as a space where people come and sit at a table. When the tables were gone, we had to try and do our very best to set another type of table and try to do that in some sort of way. But what I learned, I think, from that is that when you show up and you attempt to make it your focus to serve a community, you will stand with tear-filled eyes often when you watch that as you've served them, they show up to serve you. There were numerous times when money would show up out of the blue, when tips would come for the people that work for me that were like beyond generous. It kept us all going in the middle of thinking, are we going to make it or not? When you watch folks rally for you like that, it's like, we're going to fight like heck to make it. That's what we're going to do because it matters. It matters way more than we even knew it did. And so that's the lesson I think I learned.
I'm one of the people who really appreciates the community that you've created in the bodega. And I know how many people depend on that space as a place to just be. And it's really difficult during this time to find those places, especially when we're not supposed to be sharing spaces with people physically. I know that's been a shift. I'm tearing up listening to all of you, and these are some really terrific lessons. And it kind of plays into our next question, which is what advice you would give to someone thinking about starting their own business or maybe trying something new with their business, really taking that risk, because I know being an entrepreneur is all about taking on that risk and knowing that, you know, you're going into the unknown a bit. Not to quote Frozen, but I think that there's just a lot of opportunity. And so for those who are maybe thinking about that, what advice would you give? We'll start with Chris.
Again, I'm going to say, don't do it out of fear. Just do it. Do it with confidence and do it.
Just do it! Make your dreams come true!
But use your resources. Use the chamber. Use the economic development group. Get involved with the charities. Get involved with churches. Get involved with the community, because they are your support system, not only your family, your friends, but you have a big group. Use them, don't abuse them. Those people are willing. They're more than willing to help you. Let them help you. It'll come back. Relationship there that's a good relationship. Do it.
Just do it!
That's really good advice. Clutch and MOVEE, we lean on a lot of people in this community as well. We definitely would not be where we are without the support of our partners like the Chamber and our Main Street programs and just all of these incredible resources available, including Merida College and the Entrepreneurship Expo and Jackie. I'm sure that any of our panelists here would be happy to share the resources that they've relied on in the past, and Jackie as well, and all of our community organizations. So that is really good advice to reach out. Denise, would you like to share as well?
Yes, this is a good question. I think that you should be doing something that you love and something that you're passionate about for sure, just to lay a really good, solid foundation. Being authentic to yourself and to your work and believing in yourself, which sounds kind of cliche, but throughout, especially this year, I feel like you're going to have to give yourself some pep talks and say, I got this, I can do it. So that's a really true one for me, especially to be in service with others, to surround yourself with good people, people that believe in you, have the same values as you, and to be kind to yourself. Unforeseen challenges are going to happen. Embrace your mistakes, learn from your mistakes, keep moving forward, and just remember that we're a work in progress. Our business is a work in progress. We're just doing the best we can and learning and growing as we do it.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Larry, what advice would you give?
I don't think you can do enough research. You have to constantly be looking at the market, look for your niche in the market. If you develop a love for what you want to do, you just have to find a way to be able to make that happen. For me, it was food and I knew how I wanted to do it. It was easier for me to buy an existing restaurant and slowly mold it into what I wanted to do than to try to start from scratch. Those opportunities are all around the valley, the state, and the country, depending on where you want to be and what you want to do. So do that research, find out what you want. If you need to start from scratch, if you can buy something and build from there,
Just do it!
I wish that we had double the entrepreneurs that we currently have, because I think it's such an awesome opportunity for people to go out and do their own thing and help other businesses grow and really build the area and the region that they live in. So just do your research, ask questions, and do it.
So just do it! Make your dreams come true!
Amanda, what advice would you give to someone?
It's really important to do your research before opening a new business. Really investigate and see how many other businesses of a similar nature are in your area. You want to be sure that you can offer something that's a little bit different or maybe above and beyond what your competitors will be offering. We worked really hard on our service dog training program, and we are able to work with our students and teach them how to train their own dogs and end up with a fully trained physical or psychological service dog for either themselves or a disabled family member. That's not something that's available anywhere else in this area. So do your research.
Just do it!
Thank you very much. That's really good advice. I agree. Along with that, you can never stop doing research. I know I'm constantly learning new things that I had no idea about the week before. Anthony, what advice would you share?
Number one thing that I would share, and a true definition of an entrepreneur, is one who assumes the risk of business. That word risk looms large. Whatever it is that happens in your business, you just can't quit. There are going to be things that happen in your business. I don't know. I had this panacea when I started my business and everything was going to be fine and I was going to make money and this and all of that. But things happen. Sometimes bad things happen all the time. I've seen so many entrepreneurs go out of business because the first 2 or 3 setbacks they have, they are finished. They're done. All these guys that are finalists are battle-tested people. You can tell by listening to them that they faced adversity, but they just kept going. They found another way. A lot of times things in business are not going to go the way that you want them to go. I never had a doubt that we were going to be okay. This is our 18th year. I started this business with nothing. My credit was poor. I couldn't get a loan. A service that you drive to people, I actually started it out on foot. Then on top of that, we also made it through the recession of 2007 and 2008. You make it through those 2 events, you can make it through anything. Every morning you get up is another opportunity to show your flexibility because things are just not going to go your way sometimes. You have to be flexible enough to say, okay, I was going to go to the right, but now I have to go to the left. Oh, wait a minute, the left is blocked off too. Okay, well, I better go down the middle. I have to find a way to do what it is that I need to do to accomplish our goals each and every day. So I would say the number one thing that you have to have, and that is you have to have fortitude. You can't stick your foot halfway in. You can't start a business and say, well, I'm just going to do this. And the slightest thing that goes wrong, I'm going to quit. You cannot quit. If you hang in there and you've got a good concept and a good service and you're taking care of your customers, you're going to be okay. It's just toughing it out that is the hardest lesson. The other thing I would say is sometimes as a business owner, I like to pretend that I know everything. I don't. One of the things I think is very important is to stay open-minded, not only about your business, but about the people that work for you, the world around you, and not just get locked in. Sometimes we get locked into these single-minded thoughts about certain things that actually hurt us sometimes in business.
Thank you. I think that's what we all need to hear right now, especially as this has gone on much longer than I'm sure any of us thought it would be. It's just keep on keeping on. Last but certainly not least, Jennifer, what advice would you like to share?
Always be a learner. Find some rooms that you can put yourself in where you feel like you're the stupidest one in the room and take advantage of that. Find some folks who are way further ahead of you on the timeline. Listen to everything they're willing to share. Make sure that you are humble enough to realize that there's a lesson to learn from everybody. Whoever you sit across the table from and whoever walks into your space, whoever you get the privilege to serve has something to teach you if you are willing. And I think that that's always the challenge as you're a business owner and as an entrepreneur, to not get so sidelined in the office and behind the numbers and behind the strategy and behind doing all the research, although very important, that you are taking time to be out with the folks that you're serving so you remember why you're doing all the other stuff. I think in addition to that, I would simply say to be crystal clear on the fact that not to step onto a soapbox, but that we get the gift to be able to dream and that we live in a space where that is a luxury that is afforded to us. And 2/3 of the rest of the world would love the same privilege. I get nervous sometimes with this whole concept of we deserve to have a dream fall in our lap and it to become an instant success. And sometimes we're sort of perpetuating that maybe a bit. I think you certainly have heard today from all of these folks who are way further ahead in the timeline and smarter than I am, but it's hard work. When you're signing up, make sure you realize that you're signing up for a grind and for chasing a dream, because it's a chase. It doesn't land in your lap, and just to always handle that with grateful hands. The fact that you get to show up and have a dream and work for it is a luxury, and it's a privilege, and it's one that we ought to take very seriously. We owe it to the folks who don't get that privilege to steward that well, I think.
Very well said to you all. I cannot tell you how honored I feel to just listen to each of you and the diversity of advice and experience that you have, and the amount of impact you've been able to make in the Mid-Ohio Valley is really, truly incredible. And I can say that having read each of your stories, I just want to thank each of you for the value that you bring to this place that we all call home. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. I have the very difficult but truly honor to share who our winner is. And I just want you all to know that not only was it difficult to narrow down from the nominations that we received, though you all have stood out clearly for your expertise and the innovation that you've shown and the perseverance that you've demonstrated and the value that you bring to our community. But choose a winner was really hard for our panel. We looked at each of your stories. We felt the struggle that you've experienced, and we were really inspired by each and everything that you have shared with us. I want to just applaud each of you. I hope that everyone will join with me in saying that you are all worthy of praise for all that you have accomplished and endured this year. You have poured countless hours into building a business from scratch. You have learned how to wear every hat necessary. You stepped out of your comfort zone. You have taken these challenges this year and not only survived, but have thrived. Each of your businesses has really come through the pandemic with this knowledge, this energy, this community support to go above and beyond and to take whatever comes next. You know, we can only hope that 2021 is truly the year that takes this one and we just forget all about 2020. And every one of you has used your business to make the Mid-Ohio Valley a better place. Without further ado, I want to share that this year's Entrepreneur of the Year is a small business owner who has overcome hardship after hardship, but has always found a way. This individual made it their goal to not only create a better life for themselves, but for others too, including their staff and their customers and those that they serve in our community. They've used their business to empower others to create lasting change. This year's Entrepreneur of the Year award goes to Anthony Williams, owner of Anthony's Express Mobile Detailing. Anthony launched his business in 2002 after identifying a need for affordable and convenient automotive detailing services. And as he mentioned, after starting on foot, toting buckets of water and supplies throughout downtown Parkersburg for 2 years, he built a company that now has a fleet of vehicles equipped with gallons of water, power washers, and its own power source for vacuums and equipment. Anthony and his wife have sponsored hundreds of recovering addicts across the valley through the Narcotics Anonymous and employs individuals with known substance abuse history to help them rebuild their work history and their new lives in recovery. His staff and his customers applaud his good work and the good works he does throughout this community. Through hard work and selflessness, Anthony is a model to us all that no matter what your background, if you love others and do the right thing for the right reasons along the way, you can make it. So please join me in congratulating Anthony as our 2020 Mid-Ohio Valley Entrepreneur of the Year Award, and also congratulate all of our finalists.
This was the best ever. You guys are wonderful. And Anthony, congratulations, but really all of you are entrepreneurs of the year. You inspired me. I'm just sitting here and I'm kind of crying. You guys all basically repeated all the stuff that I teach in class, but you live it. So you all have open invitation to teach my class anytime you want. Thank you so much. This was wonderful. See you in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone. Bye. Thank you.